The music hit me before I even saw them. Bass thumping through the trees, voices shouting, car doors slamming. When I stepped out onto my porch, my jaw dropped. 5 full-size charter buses were parked along my fence line, and a swarm of strangers spilled across my field like it was Coachella. And there she was, at the center of it all, Karen, lawn chair set up like a throne, a whistle dangling from her neck, sunglasses flashing in the sun. She spotted me and smirked. "Don't bother coming over. This land is now community property for our HOA Summer Festival." I stood at the gate, my fists tightening. "This isn't your HOA's land, Karen. It's mine. You just bust in 200 trespassers." She blew her whistle, laughing over the noise. "Oh, relax. You've got all this space and you're doing nothing with it. We're making it useful. You should be thanking me." Kids trampled through the crops my grandfather planted. Beer cans cracked open on my fence posts. Smoke rising from a makeshift bonfire someone lit near the barn. My blood boiled. "You've gone too far this time," I said, pulling out my phone. Karen leaned back in her chair, sipping from a plastic cup. "Call whoever you want. You'll just embarrass yourself. HOA rules say any undeveloped land connected to the subdivision can be used for community events, and I am the HOA." I stepped closer, voice low but firm. "Karen, what you just did isn't a violation. It's a federal crime. You crossed state lines with those buses and charged people to party on private land. That's not community service. That's organized trespass and fraud." Her smirk flickered for the first time. You wouldn't dare report this." I tapped my phone screen, already recording. Too late. And guess who I used to work for? The Department of Homeland Security. Her whistle slipped right out of her hand. The sirens cut through the music like a knife. 2 cruisers rolled up, lights flashing, and the party crowd scattered toward the buses in a panic. Beer cans dropped, lawn chairs toppled. Someone even tried to kick over the bonfire before sprinting away. Karen jumped to her feet, waving her arms like she was in charge. "Officers, over here, over here. I'm the HOA president. This is an authorized community event." The sheriff stepped out, scanning the wreckage of my field. Trash, trampled crops, people still climbing over fences. His eyes narrowed. Authorized by who? Karen thrust her clipboard toward him, grinning like she'd won. "By me. HOA Code 22 gives me full authority to repurpose idle land. And he," she pointed at me, her voice dripping venom, "is trying to stop a community gathering. He even threatened the guests." The sheriff took the clipboard, glanced at it, then shook his head. "Ma'am, this isn't a legal document. This is a typed page with no signatures, no county seals, and no legal standing whatsoever." Karen's smile cracked. No, you don't understand. HOA authority outranks local ordinance. He has to follow my rules." The sheriff's partner actually laughed. "Lady, HOA doesn't outrank the Constitution." The crowd of neighbors that had gathered at the edge of the road burst out cheering. One man shouted, "Tell her again, Sheriff!" Another yelled, "She thinks she's the governor!" Karen's voice went shrill. "No, this is trespassing. He's lying. This is HOA property." That's when I stepped forward, handing the sheriff the deed. "This land has been in my family since 1952. It's privately owned, fully exempt from HOA jurisdiction. And I've got video of her charging those buses for admission to her event." The sheriff's jaw tightened. "You charged people to trespass on land you don't own." Karen stuttered. I was fundraising for the HOA. It's for the good of the community." The sheriff's voice dropped low. "That's fraud. And when you cross state lines to collect money and throw an event on someone else's private land, that's a federal matter." Karen froze, the color drained from her face. No, you wouldn't." The sheriff pulled his radio, his eyes never leaving Karen. "Dispatch, patch me through to the federal desk. We've got interstate fraud, criminal trespass, and potential racketeering at play here." Karen's jaw dropped. "Racketeering? This was a neighborhood festival. You can't bring in the feds over a party." The sheriff's partner crossed his arms. "Ma'am, you charged 5 charter buses full of people to cross state lines and trespass on land you don't own. That's not a party. That's an organized crime operation." The crowd gasped. Phones zoomed in closer, recording every second. Karen's voice went shrill. "You don't understand. I'm the HOA president. I have immunity. My board voted to approve this." I couldn't help but laugh. "Karen, HOA rules don't override federal law. You are not above the sheriff, and you are sure as hell not above the U.S. government." The sheriff turned to me, nodding. "We'll need a copy of that video you recorded." I handed him my phone, the footage showing Karen collecting envelopes of cash from the bus drivers, waving them through like it was a carnival gate. The sheriff's face hardened as he watched. Clear as day. That's commercial trespassing and unlicensed event operation. She's done. Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone. "No, that's fake! He edited that!" The sheriff snapped. "Ma'am, step back. Your next move decides whether this stays local or if the FBI gets here tonight." Karen froze, trembling, eyes darting between the deputies, the crowd, and me. For the first time, her voice cracked. You can't do this! I'm the HOA!" An unmarked black SUV pulled up 20 minutes later, engines low, doors clicking open in perfect sync. 2 men in suits stepped out, badges flashing gold in the evening light. The crowd went silent. You could feel the air shift. This wasn't neighborhood drama anymore. One agent scanned the wreckage of the field, the tipped-over bonfire pit, the buses idling like guilty giants at the edge of the property. He turned to the sheriff. "We got the report. This the woman?" The sheriff nodded toward Karen, who stood rigid, sweat beading on her forehead. "That's her. HOA president. Organized the whole stunt." Karen puffed her chest, trying to sound composed. "Finally, real authority is here. Gentlemen, I'm the HOA president, and I demand you arrest this trespasser," she jabbed her finger toward me, "for interfering in a community event." The agents didn't even look at me. One flipped open a folder. "Karen Miller, you crossed state lines with 5 commercial buses. You charged admission fees without a license. You brought over 200 people onto private land without consent. That's wire fraud, trespass, and illegal interstate commerce." Karen's smile shattered. No, this is just HOA business. This is community service. You can't treat it like a crime." The taller agent's voice cut like steel. "Ma'am, HOA bylaws aren't federal law. You don't get to rewrite property rights. And from where I'm standing, this looks like conspiracy to defraud." The crowd erupted, some gasping, others cheering, neighbors shouting things like, "Game over, Karen," and "Hope you packed a suitcase." Karen stumbled backward, voice shrill and breaking. No, you don't get it. I am the HOA. I am the authority here." The agent signaled to the sheriff. "She's done. Cuff her." The agent stepped aside as the sheriff snapped the cuffs onto Karen's wrists. She thrashed, her sunglasses flying off into the dirt. "You can't do this to me! I run this neighborhood! I run everything!" The taller agent held up the folder again, flipping through pages. "Not anymore. We've been tracking complaints linked to you for months. Phony fines, forged liens, fake inspection fees. You've been bleeding this neighborhood with scams disguised as HOA business." The crowd gasped. Neighbors exchanged looks, some shocked, some furious, some whispering, "I knew it." One woman shouted, "She made me pay a $500 tree permit just to plant an oak in my yard." Another man yelled, "She threatened to tow my car if I didn't pay her cash on the spot." The agent nodded grimly. "Exactly. This wasn't a one-time stunt. This was a racket. And when you escalated it by renting buses across state lines, you took it into federal territory. You're looking at fraud, impersonation, conspiracy, and racketeering charges." Karen's knees buckled, her voice breaking. "Racketeering? That's for mobsters! I'm just HOA!" The sheriff shook his head. "No, Karen, you're just a criminal who got too arrogant." The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound echoing across the field. Someone shouted, "Lock her up!" and it spread like wildfire.
I stood at the edge of the porch, arms crossed, finally letting a smile break through. My wife slipped her hand into mine and whispered, "Grandpa would be laughing if he saw this." I squeezed her hand gently. Yeah, he always said the land fights back when someone tries to steal it. Karen screamed the whole way as the sheriff shoved her into the back of the cruiser. "This is a mistake! You'll regret this! I am the HOA!" The door slammed, her words muffled by the glass, drowned out by the cheers of the neighbors who had lived under her shadow for years. The agents turned to the crowd. "Folks, if Karen ever forced you to pay fake fines or threatened you with phony violations, bring your paperwork to the sheriff's office. She's facing federal charges now, and every record helps build the case." Hands shot up, voices overlapping, stories of harassment, extortion, humiliation. It was like a dam had finally broken. The taller agent gave me a long look. "You kept your cool, son. Most would have lost it. Instead, you gave us evidence that ties it all together." I nodded, glancing over the ruined field. My grandfather fought for this land his whole life. I wasn't about to let some HOA queen take it over with buses and fake paperwork. The sheriff clapped my shoulder. "Well, she won't be back. Not in this neighborhood, not ever." As the cruisers rolled off, the sun dipped low, casting long gold lines across the fields. Neighbors came forward, some apologizing for not standing up sooner, others thanking me for finally putting an end to her reign. Kids ran through the grass where the buses had been, laughing like the land was free again. My wife leaned against me, her voice soft but proud. "It's over. She can't hurt anyone anymore." I looked out across the acres of my family's soil, breathing deep, feeling the weight finally lift. She thought she could turn this into her playground, but this land doesn't answer to her. It answers to us.